Kia ora homa. On today's video we're going to be making a virtual reality viewer, and to do this you're just going to need a few old broken pieces of Viewmaster, a smartphone and a pair of headphones if you've got some. Now the headphones aren't essential, but it will just help the whole entire virtual reality experience. So if that seems like your sort of thing, I'll see you in the video, so stay tuned. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be turning a broken Viewmaster into a virtual reality headset. Now, the best Viewmaster for this job, you could probably use almost any Viewmaster that has an eyepiece like that, but I've found that the Model L is probably the best, and the reason why the Model L is the best is because it's the most common. They made more Model L than any other Viewmaster, so they're floating around all over the place. You can get them relatively cheaply on Trade Me and Facebook Marketplace and things like that, if you're really careful. There are also a lot of other alternatives, like some shops in New Zealand. Kmart makes a knockoff of the Model L for about $5, which isn't too bad. And so basically what you want to do is, if you've got a broken one of these, perfect. And what you do is, these are actually kind of fitted together. They're not glued, they're not screwed in any way. There's no screw fittings in there. Basically what it is there's like a set of pegs and there's a set of holes, and they just line up with each other and peg together. And once you pry them apart, and I recommend using something like a butter knife. The reason why I say a butter knife is you don't want to be using something like a screwdriver or something with a big chunky blade. And all you do is you stick the butter knife in there with a parent's help and just twist, and that'll just lever the two halves apart. Now you've got to take into account there's a whole lot of working pieces in here, so if you ever want to reuse it and you're using a Viewmaster that isn't necessarily broken, and you want to put it back together at some point, just make sure you're collecting all of your pieces, because there's a spring in there. There's also the advanced lever plate, which is like a little plate that helps the reel turn around. You don't want to damage that in any way, especially if you're going to use it again. Alternatively, something like the face might be broken or something like that, or it's cracked or something like that. Hold on to these parts, because then one day you might get another one and you've got replacement parts because you can't get them. I was really lucky. I gave a Model L to my son for Christmas, and he was quite young at the time and probably didn't appreciate it as much as I appreciated it, and annihilated it before the end of the school holidays. Smashed the advanced lever off and poked holes through the diffusers, and it was a mess. And it basically, the advanced lever had completely broken off, so you couldn't even stick a reel in it and advance it because there's nothing to turn the pictures with. So what I did is I took his one, and like I was saying, you can see the holes there where the pegs go in, and I've taken it all apart. And so you end up with the faceplate with the diffuser on it and the eyepiece. And all you want is the eyepiece. Now, this is a really, really quick build. So what you need to do now is you need to take your smartphone, and it can be any new generation smartphone. It just has to be able to be compatible with the app Google Cardboard. Now, the cool thing about virtual reality is it's essentially the modern version of Viewmaster. Viewmaster was way ahead of its time in terms of this, like, it was stereopsis really. So and that's how virtual reality works. Virtual reality is essentially just stereopsis in a modern context. And if you don't know what stereopsis is, basically what it is you have a picture orientated to your left eye and a picture orientated to your right eye, and when you view both pictures together, your brain blends those two pictures together to create 3 dimensions. It's the same as in the real world, which is why we call it virtual reality. But if you cover your your right eye, and just have your left eye open, your mind is orientated to that eye. And then if you close the opposing eye, your vision's orientated to that one. But when you've got both eyes open, you get the full spectrum of view at a 180-degree plane, and that's how you have 3-dimensional view. So on this phone, I've I've got Google Cardboard, I've installed that, and then you can install a whole bunch of apps. And a really good one to give you an idea of what it looks like is this is Stargazer, and on the Stargazer app, it's like a virtual reality astronomy app essentially. And so what you do is you've got this line here, and in the Viewmaster you've got a hole. And so the best thing to do is I leave these two studs on for this particular phone because it's about the right size, and just gently rest it in there. Now what you can do is you can rubber band it in place. I prefer to just do it gently like this at this point because this phone doesn't have a screen protector on it, and I don't want to scratch it too much because it's a really nice phone. And you'll find that there's some Google Cardboard apps that require you to do some kind of function to allow you to advance through the screens and continue in the game. Now the easiest thing to do with this, and one of the cool things about using this as opposed to going out and buying a Google Cardboard because they have a proper clicker on them, is you've got the little window that tells you what the pictures are in a Viewmaster. So if you leave that exposed and you touch in that gap there and touch the screen, you'll be able to advance through any virtual reality games that you might put on this phone. So I'll just see if I can line it up and show you what it looks like in there. So you can see it's just like a virtual reality in there. Now you're only obviously getting the right eye view, but yeah, this is a really, really cool app, and this is quite a handy way of being able to access virtual reality if you don't have the money to buy one of those fancy $100-something headsets. Now I know that they've come down in price in a lot of places, but this is like basement barrel alternative. So hopefully you like this idea. Now it works even better with a good set of headphones, and sitting in a swivel chair I recommend that too. So sitting in a swivel chair with headphones on is a really good way to experience this kind of a thing. So hopefully you found that helpful, and give it a try and let me know what you come up with. I would try a couple of different alternatives too, like there's a lot of other different things that you could do to make the virtual reality experience a little bit nicer and a little bit more virtual and reality. But for now, ka kite anō, and I'll see you next time on Mr. Ashley's Place.